Hello class, welcome to Introduction to the Philosophy of Religion. So in our previous presentation, we learned that the disciplines of philosophy and theology have had a rather tense and dynamic relationship with one another. And although the tension between these disciplines reached its height in the modern period, even in the patristic and scholastic periods, there were disagreements as to how much theologians should rely upon quote-unquote pagan philosophy. Nevertheless, the interaction between these two modes of thinking resulted in the creation of a specialized field called the philosophy of religion. But here are a couple of questions. What is the philosophy of religion, and what is its relationship to theology? So the philosophy of religion, also referred to as natural theology, is an approach to theology that relies upon human reason as opposed to revelation. And the philosopher and theologian St. Thomas Aquinas argued that a philosopher of religion strives to understand God by using the human intellect alone, without the assistance of divine intervention. So to better understand this, let's talk about the two different approaches to theology, which would be revealed theology and natural theology, which we just touched upon. So revealed theology establishes that we can understand God's nature and existence by studying revelation, that is, by studying, in this case, the Bible. So according to Revelation theologians, if you want to understand God, then pick up a Bible, right? Understand Revelation history and what has been revealed about God. According to natural theologians, on the other hand, to understand God, you must use the natural intellect, that is, reason, observation, logic, and argumentation. So natural theologians, I guess you could say, skip the Bible and rely instead upon human understanding alone. Now, natural theologians, for our purposes, are interested in primarily three major issues: proving God's existence, the issue of faith and reason, and the problem of evil. And this week, we are going to focus upon proving God's existence. Now, speaking of proving God's existence, there are two different types of proofs that exist in natural theology, or the philosophy of religion. What we call Aristotelian and what we call Platonic. So according to the Aristotelian proofs, we can prove God's existence by analyzing God's creation, that is, by using sense knowledge. So people like Thomas Aquinas and William Paley are going to observe the natural world and say, hey, how did this world come to be? Well, if we observe the natural world, we will see that God is the one who created it. So how do we establish that God exists? By observing and making arguments about God's creation. And according to the Platonic proofs, we can prove God's existence by analyzing the idea of God. That is, by using pure reasoning to basically meditate upon what God is. And for people like Descartes and Kant and Lewis and Rochdale, we can use this method of pure reasoning to establish that God exists. So in our analysis, we are going to start with the Aristotelian proofs, and then we're going to move on to the Platonic. So first we're going to talk about Thomas Aquinas' Aristotelian proofs, and then we're going to talk about William Paley's, and then we'll take it from there.